We are going to cover 4 pre-spawn factors that will give you a much deeper understanding of what bass are actually doing this time of year. Number 1, we as bass anglers get way ahead of ourselves. We feel that first nice day out there and we want to get it super shallow right away. And we've got to remember, when the bass get really shallow, it's because of one of 2 things. One, that afternoon sun warms things up and they're trying to get more comfortable, or 2, it's really close to the spawn. We've got to remember, in most situations, those super shallow bass, that is their end destination. When bass are moving into those traditional spawning areas, a flat, a pocket, whatever it might be on your body of water, we've got to remember that that migration that we always hear about is not taking place in super shallow water. We're not going to go out to the lake and see, huge schools of bass migrating into the back of a pocket up in less than a foot of water. I wish we did, but we just don't. It is that next depth range that is so key for this migration, when they've got that lateral movement, that parallel movement along a shoreline. On a lot of the places that I fish, it is that 5 to 10 foot zone. Maybe on your body of water, it's 10 to 15 feet, but we really need to focus on that. That is where this migration is happening. Number 2, we have to remember that the spring is a season of extremes. You could have 70 degrees one day, snow and sleet the next day. Winter and summer are your stable seasons. Yes, winter is super cold, but it's super cold over a period of time. Summer can get really hot, but it's usually hot over a period of time. They're in stable, predictable locations. But spring and fall are transition times. And myself personally, I feel that the spring has way more variety as far as transition than the fall does. So when these ups and downs happen, we've got to remember that migrating bass into the spawning season are not going backwards. They are not going to go all the way back out to where they started. If they are along their transition route, when we have 3 or 4 days of really cold weather hit, they're just going to stop and hunker down right on that structure element where they are at. If some of them happen to be up really shallow, they're just going to slip down to the bottom edge of whatever they were hanging on. They're not going backwards 3 or 4 stops. They're going to hold where they are or just slip to the bottom edge of where they were. So once again, when we get these extremes from hot to cold in the springtime, as anglers, we often over adjust. We will back off, go too deep, go too far away from where they're actually sitting. So we miss them again. We're not getting our lures in front of them. Number 3, we often hear about stopping points on a migration route. I like to call them bus stops. Well, what do these actually look like, and how do we find them? So often in the spring, we go out, we just start chunking and winding and hope we run across fish, as opposed to strategically figuring out where some high percentage places are likely to be. Let's take a look at Table Rock Lake here on Google Earth. Now, here is a creek arm that I thought looked like a great place to start. If I was making a trip down there today, this is one spot I was, okay, this looks pretty good. I want to check it out. And literally after just a minute of moving around the image, I found this. Look at all these nice little pockets and tiny secondary points. What a gem. Then I went up to the historical imagery slider and went backwards a bit, and I found an image of the lake when the water level was down. Look at this. Here is a perfect pile of boulders scattered on one of these little secondary points. This is an ideal stopping point on a migration route, and the crazy thing is you can pin this, get the actual GPS coordinates, put them in your phone, put them in your graph, and idle right up to it. And here's what a couple of these stopping points or bus stops may look like underwater. Take a look here. Here's a great big rock amongst smaller rocks. This is a perfect spot that could just hold bass in a springtime migration, maybe for a day, part of a day, 2 days, and then they move on. And then take a look at this one here. Here's a single tire at the bottom edge of a slope where bass are moving along this bottom edge laterally back and forth, and they will just stop and hang right here on this tire. Now the key is these stopping points, these bus stops, can be really small. They're so easy to miss, so easy to move right by them. So we've always got to be aware when we get a bite, find a fish, see a fish, like, okay, what's holding them right there? And number 4, how do we find them once we get out there? Well, one of the biggest mistakes that we can make as springtime anglers is we don't cover water fast enough. This is the perfect example of search, 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 then soak. You know that's the pattern I like to take all the time, but in the springtime, it is so important. You've got to pick an area where you think they're heading back into a traditional spawning location and search the length of that area. I like to use very traditional reaction baits, jerk baits, square bill, crankbaits, this type of thing. Some other great searching lures are Carolina rigs. Even swim baits, even though they are not your traditional reaction bait, man, they have a habit of just calling fish up from a distance. Now, once you get that clue, whatever it is, hopefully you catch one. Maybe you see one. Maybe you get a follow. Maybe you just get a bite and it's like, ooh, what was that going on down there? Then we can slow things down and soak that area. Find that very small piece of structure or cover that's holding the fish. That is one of these bus stops that we talk about, but you've got to spend time moving first, and then you can soak. And you know me, if I catch one on a jerkbait, man, I'm gonna wear them out with that jerkbait first. Then when the bite stops, now I'll switch up to something like a shaky head, a Ned rig, jig, Texas rigged worm, you know, whatever it might be, but we've got to cover water. And hey, if you want to watch a video that talks about a jig setup that is just so popular with anglers because it really works, go ahead and check this one out right here, and make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.